by the looks of my watch, it's officially grave time. Well, once again, I find myself here at the Sacramento City Cemetery, located in Sacramento, California. And I'm perfectly fine with that, because this is one of my favorite cemeteries to visit. And used to be about 10 blocks away from my office, and now it's about 1.5 miles from my new office. It is a great place to explore, see history, and speaking of history, I am here to check out the GAR Plot. Now, what is the GAR Plot? That is GAR as in G.A.R. It stands for something, the Grand Army of the Republic. And in order to be a member of this organization, you had to fight for the North during the American Civil War from April 12, 1861 through April 9, 1865. If you were a member of the Union Army, you had every right to belong to the Grand Army of the Republic. The GAR Plot here in the Sacramento City Cemetery has strictly just Union soldiers only. However, overall, there are 250 Civil War veterans buried in the cemetery, and that is a combined mixture of Confederates and Union soldiers. Believe it or not, the very first Confederate grave I ever visited was inside the Sacramento City Cemetery, on the other side, located in the Pioneer section. Before I go any further, I want to make it quickly known that even though the American Civil War never made it to the West Coast, California prominently was a Union state. And so there were many people here who enlisted and volunteered. However, only so many of the people buried in this cemetery actually fought in one of the many wars during 1861 through 1865. One of many main attractions here in the Sacramento City Cemetery is that of Old Eli. That is the name of the Union Army soldier who is in the middle of the Grand Army of the Republic plot. And he was presented to the people of Sacramento on September 9th, 1889. That would be the 39th anniversary of California gaining its statehood back in 1850. Moving forward to today, Old Eli will be turning 135 years old on September 9th of this year. What's very interesting is that he is still standing here, standing proudly, not just for those who fought for the American Civil War, but he's a symbol. He's a symbol of America, if you ask me. He's a symbol of the American dream. And what's also very interesting is that he is still standing here proudly, because only 4 years ago, in the summer of 2020, we had a lot of unrest in this country, and people were deeply offended by history, and they were tearing down statues, even tearing down statues of Abraham Lincoln. The following information that I'm going to provide for you right now is from a newspaper article from the Sacramento Daily Union on August 25th, 1889. After several years of preservation, the members of the local Grand Army post at the last succeed in placing a fitting tribute over the graves of their dead comrades. Some time ago, it was determined to secure 4 cannons from the Mare Island Navy Yard, which had been service in the late war. These to be placed in the 4 corners of the GAR plot in the cemetery. But the posts were then in poor financial condition and could not get the pieces here. So the matter fell through. A monument was then thought of, and a fund was started for the purpose of eventually erecting one. This was 3 years ago. Since that time, something over $1,000 was accumulated. This was not enough. A similar amount to this was lying unused in the Grant Memorial Fund, and negotiations were made and succeeded in having this sum transferred to the GAR Monument Fund. This combined amount, $2,500, was expanded. As we shift from the planning to the funding of the statue, let's find out a little bit more about the monument itself. The monument will stand on a little mound on the east side of the GAR Plot. It is entirely of Folsom white granite, with the exception of the figure which surmounts it. It is of white bronze and was sculpted in Chicago. The shaft and the figure will reach a height of 20 feet from the ground. The figure is a handsome piece of work. It stands at 6.5 feet in height and represents a Union private standing at parade rest. On the front side of the main shaft, the inscription, "Erected to the memory of our soldier dead," will appear in bold relief, and below it, on the center base, the letter G.A.R, GAR. On the north side of the shaft will be a life-size bust medallion of General Grant, beneath which will appear the inscription, "Our General U.S. Grant." On the south side will be a 2-foot Grand Army badge cut into the stone. The monument stands on a concrete base 6 feet square and 6 feet deep. The whole weight over 12 tons. This will be the first monument erected in the memory of the Grand Army's dead on the Pacific Coast, and Sacramento should be proud of it. I'd also like to make note that the Grand Army headquarters was located at 10th and K Street in Sacramento, and the day of the presentation of the revealing of the monument, there was a parade procession that started out at the headquarters and worked their way all the way down to the Sacramento City Cemetery. One of the many interests that I have visiting cemeteries is that of Civil War sections, and I've also been to the GAR Plot located in the Eugene Pioneer Cemetery in Oregon. You can check that video out on my channel. While you're at it, please check out my other video I did of the Grand Army Republic Cemetery located in Reno, Nevada. It is the only Civil War cemetery in all of Nevada. And of course, who can't forget the time that I went to the Woodbridge Masonic Cemetery in Woodbridge, California. This is one of my favorite videos. Even I go back and watch it because I can't believe how great of a job I did. But on top of that, there are many Civil War veterans buried here, both from the Confederacy and the Union Army. This concludes this episode of Grave Time. Thank you so much for watching this particular episode, and hopefully I've encouraged you to come on down to the Sacramento City Cemetery and visit the GAR Plot. Come see this beautiful monument of Old Eli and those residing here, those Union veterans, some who enlisted and basically were on reserve in case the Civil War came to California, and some of those who actually did fight in some of those battles, buried right before you. Thank you to the Sacramento City Cemetery Committee for keeping the history alive. I really do appreciate it. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you'll be in the loop of the next Grave Time adventure. Until next time, God bless you all, and America, happy 248th birthday.